Have you ever been scrolling Instagram and you see a post and you're like, what the heck is that? That can't be real. For better or for worse, right? We've all been there, I think. And yesterday, that is exactly what happened to me in my top story today, where we're going to actually travel to Oklahoma. Okay, LA, Lahoma, whatever. I did perform in the Oklahoma, the musical back in high school. So I do love Oklahoma, but this story really caught my eye and caught a lot of my attention. In addition to that, there's a couple really big things happening in Washington right now. Lots of bills signed after the legislative session ended last week. I also wanted to jump into a couple things that the Trump administration is doing that I personally don't love. I don't necessarily agree with. I don't think they're great. First one, talking about the 988 line. Second one's talking about Head Start. I want to talk about those things today. And then I also just want to start off today talking about being a change agent. What does that mean? All that, so much more, right here on the Evergreen Report. I'm your host, Jay. Let's jump right in. So, the first thing I want to talk about today is I just want to talk about being a change agent. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of people on threads, on X, locals, on all the audience go in between, right? Facebook, Instagram, audiences are all in between, depending on the platforms. What you get, what you get there. And there's a common theme that I notice across all social medias is that people just want to post, they want to repost, they want to complain, they want to do something, right? The average person. People I like to follow, Randy Cruz, Future 42, and Wokeness, some other really good guys, lots of senators, congressmen, congresswomen, representatives. Those are people who I like to follow. See what they're up to, see what they're saying. Keep up in that way, right? A lot of people just want to complain, and a lot of people want to complain about Washington, which I don't blame you for. We have a lot of problems here between fentanyl, from our streets being overrun with homelessness, from our school scores dropping, to our kids getting less of a quality education, but more money being funneled to the education system, to wokeness overrunning Washington in our school system, to so much more. To the point that it feels like it's out of control. It absolutely feels like it's out of control. Taxation, parental bill of rights being stripped, all the things, right? There's so much. The Mariners are winning. That's great. But it's gotten to this point politically to where we're incredibly divided. You're divided over here, I'm over here. There's no in between. Either extreme or you're extreme, but you can't be somewhat moderate on anything. It feels like, but that's okay. It's good to be moderate. It's good to be able to see both sides of an issue. It's good to be able to say, I don't agree with that. For example, like I mentioned at the top of the show here, I did some research. I saw it. I caught wind of it. My wife actually told me about this, and I did some more research. Is that the Trump administration may be getting rid of the 988 number? I don't agree with that. I work in mental health, behavioral health. I think that's a great resource for people. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's a good thing for our youth, for people in general, to be able to get rid of that critical resource, which can help save lives. So I hope they figure that out. I really hope they figure that out. Um, the other thing I really want us to figure out, coming back here to Washington specifically, and then we'll jump to Oklahoma, I think, here, is the largest tax increase ever in our state history. The largest tax increase ever in state history. $9.3 billion in new taxes. $78 million operating budget. And I want you to think of this. I saw this tweet. It really made me think. So, Washington State Democrats just passed an astronomical $77.8 billion budget. That's a 300% increase from the budget 8 years ago. 8 years ago. 20, what is that, 17, 16, 17, whatever, when they passed that budget 8 years ago. 300% increase. Yes, 300%. It's been a high inflation over that time, but that's only 1/10 of the rate the state budget's grown. Why did we X the budget to inflation? Where's the money going? I don't see crime getting better. Crime got worse. I don't see drugs and mental health getting better. Those got worse. Educational results, I don't see those getting better. They got worse. What are we investing in? Where is it going? It's insane. It is insane. And then we still end up with all that extra spending, with all that extra budget. We're still in a alleged 15, $16 billion budget hole. $1 billion budget hole. I mean, it doesn't add up. It does not add up. And yet they want to add new taxes. So new property tax, largest property tax hike in state history, expanding the sale tax, expanding the business and occupation tax increase, 38% increase on hunting fishing licenses, 50% tax hike on discover passes, tax on innovation, tax on inheritance, taxes on taxes, taxes on Zyn, taxes on Tesla, taxes on your property, taxes for, uh, gosh, it's everything, everything. And then you see the Seattle Times, Amazon, Microsoft, they're all going, oh my God, who could have seen this coming? I didn't see this B&O tax coming. I didn't see all these capital gains, wealth taxes all coming in. You did, but you continue to supporting the Democrats who put you in these positions. The Seattle Times is finally showing a little bit of bipartisanism, not a lot, but a little bit here and there, slamming the new budget. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, oh my God, we supported you. I can't, what? Why are you doing this to me? I'm Amazon. You can't do this to me. I run Washington. I mean, kind of do. Microsoft, Bill Gates, same thing. Same thing. Who could see this coming? Oh no! But the Democrats in the legislature are after the money. They're after this idea that if we tax the rich, we take care of everybody else, and as long as we're doing that, everyone will be happy. No one likes the rich, but at the same time, I feel like they don't think, because if you think about this logically, if you tax the rich, you are going to drive them out of your state. Capital gains, wealth tax, property tax increases, yada yada yada. You're going to drive them out of the state, but then who's left to pay at the end of the day? The average taxpayer. You and I. That's who's left to pay all these taxes at the end of the day. Because they're going to find loopholes, they're going to find workarounds, they're not going to pay them. Why would they do that? But guess what? It didn't have to be this way. Believe it or not. This wasn't the only budget that was proposed. Democrats did this multiple times and they did it in the dark. They started at like 15 billion in new taxes, went down to 12, settled at 9.3. Governor Ferguson giving a pat on the back. Why do we need 9.3 billion in new taxes? We don't. Because guess what? Could have happened. And I know this may offend people, but the Republican budget was actually increasingly better for Washington state. The Republican budget was better for a blue state. The Republicans, you think, would be like, oh yeah, let's push all these taxes, let's do all this, yada yada yada, and because we hate blue and we want to go against it. No, they actually were, looking out for you and I. Keeps the 1% cap. The cap. They tripled the cap on property taxes this session. This new budget keeps a 1% cap on property tax growth rate. No sales tax expansion. So we're already paying 8-9%. Prepared to pay more. There was none of that in their budget. No business and occupation tax increase. No increase on hunting fishing licenses. No hike on the Discover Pass because they want you to have fun, go outside and enjoy our beautiful state. Enjoy those beautiful things. No tax on innovation and no inheritance tax. And you can find more about the Republican budget on savewa.org. SAVEWAORG. I'll link that in my link tree as well. So it didn't have to be like this. Did not have to be like this. But why is it like this? Well, because we're voting blue no matter who. We're not paying attention to the candidate. We're just like, yeah, if Republican means Trump and Trump bad and can't vote that way. Absolutely not. That's not okay. Can't do that. But that's not what it means. We put ourselves into this hole. We as a collective. I didn't vote. I didn't vote for this. I certainly didn't. I know a lot of people in the state. Look at all the red areas in the state after the last election. 5 counties. Snohomish, Tacoma. The I-5 corridor there along the Puget Sound is where the density of the population is. That voted us into this mess again. It continues to vote us into this mess again. So we talk about the wealthy, right? We talk about their strategy of tax the rich, tax the rich. And we're now about to see the largest exodus of wealthy residents in history. After the state's tax base and an even greater burden on the rest of the state's population. I mean, the wealthy those are who creates the jobs for you and I. but the city of Atherton has homes for sale, around 5 million. The city of Medina, Washington, population 2841, has 19 homes for sale, 3.5 million or more, uh, accounting for 2024 medians. These are all wealthy people homes, and they're leaving. They're like, I'm out of here. And it looks like even more. If you look at it, if you just do a simple search, 1 million to 17 million. Uh, looks like there's hundreds of homes for sale in and around Seattle of $1 million or more, 1 million to 17 million. So the wealthy are leaving. They're gonna go to Idaho. They're gonna go to Arizona. They're gonna go, Midwest somewhere and just leave and be happy. Keep their businesses here. They'll operate them. Probably pay them less, cut them back a little bit, scale them back, move them around, things like that. That's what they'll do, and we'll be none the better for it. So it didn't have to be like this. It didn't have to be like this. Look at what Montana did. Montana passed a bill, passed their tax, no new taxes in their budget. They did it. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. But when you vote blue, no matter who, BNMW, because the mainstream media told you to, because all Republicans are Nazis and they all should be treated as that, that's how we get to a 9.3 billion tax budget, a 50% increase on just going to state parks that are poorly maintained anyway, increasing on your hunting and fishing licenses, business and occupation tax increases, expanded sale tax, property tax increases, all these taxes on taxes on taxes. How we got here? Because we continue to vote blue no matter who. People continue to not show up in their local elections. That's what needs to change. Talk about being a change agent, right? You hear that a lot from me now. Got my new saying. The reason I'm doing this podcast. I took the whole week off. It's Friday. Finally putting something out. I was tired. I didn't know where to go. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling like I just didn't want to do this. So I'm like, I want to be a change agent. I want to do good. I want this to be for the good. Not just for me, but to help educate other people. To help you understand that it's time for you to be active. You gotta be active in all this. That's what matters. You gotta be active. So let's all be more active in our local government. And so moving on, we went to Montana. Now let's head down to Oklahoma. And I'm really impressed with what Oklahoma does. And so let me preface the story. The only reason I saw this, I would have completely missed it. Probably much like you, and you missed this as well up to this point, is that the Oklahoma has adopted a new pro-America, historically sound social study standards, now the strongest in the country. These new standards are rooted in fact, grounded in history, and unapologetically patriotic. They ensure students learn not only what happened, but why it matters, and how the core ideas, sacrifices, and founding principles that shaped our country continue to resonate today. Students will be taught to think critically, appreciate the strength of those principles, and develop a deep respect for our nation, not disdain for it. So this is great for Oklahoma. This is great for our nation, starting here, starting in Oklahoma. But the opposite side of this, of course, liberals will say it's shocking because it's the liberal take on this. Let me just tell you this. Um, Oklahoma parents, educators, anyone who gives a damn about democracy. We need to talk about Ryan Walters. In a recent email, Oklahoma State Superintendent Ryan Walters announced a push for historically sound social study standards. Sounds harmless, right? But let's be clear. This is a dog whistle for writing history through a hyper-partisan, ultra-nationalist religious lens. Walters wants to inject Judeo-Christian beliefs into a public education, teach kids to be blindly proud of a whitewashed version of American history, and protect them from so-called woke leftist agendas. While politicians start deciding what version of history our kids are allowed to learn, we're not just talking about policy, we're talking about propaganda. We're talking about a future where nuance, diversity, and truth are sacrificed for political control. What is this? Call it what it is. Fascism hiding behind a flag and a Bible. We must speak out. We must push back. Our children deserve an education, not a sermon in nationalism. And so I strongly disagree with this. Strongly disagree. Because isn't that exactly what the left does too? Doesn't the left do this, but they just call it DEI, you know, inclusion, equity, diversity? Don't they call it all these other buzzwords? But they do it all the time. I mean, look at here in Washington. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that bill that passed last year, to install an LGBTQ plus history curriculum into all schools by October 1st, 2025. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Isn't that the same thing? Isn't that exactly what we're doing here? Isn't that exactly the same thing? that the left does with our kids to push all these things, take history out of school, take education out of schools, focusing on politics, focusing on DEI, focusing on inclusion, focusing on equity and LGBTQ and wokeism and all these other things, all these other buzzwords. I don't want to say too many, right? Of course, because I don't want to give that side of the story more than it deserves. But isn't it the same thing? Think about that. Think about that. I want you to think about that. So, the letter from Ryan Walters, the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Oklahoma State Department of Education. I'm proud to share that an important victory for students, parents, and the future of our state. Oklahoma has officially adopted new pro-America historically sound social studies program. These standards are rooted in fact, grounded in history, and unapologetically patriotic. Let me be clear. I'm just kind of skipping around here. These standards do not shy away from hard truths. Students will study our country's highest ideals alongside its greatest challenges, including real accounts of tragic moments like the Tulsa Race Massacre and other times in our history where we fell short of living up to our founding principles. We teach truth without fostering hatred for self or for our country, because teaching the truth is the foundation of genuine patriotism. And it goes on in this letter here to talk about, we will not apologize for teaching students to love their country or for teaching the truth about the Judeo-Christian heritage that shaped it. So it's not necessarily teaching the Bible, even though Bibles are required in every classroom in Oklahoma as of 2024. It's to understand the context. It's the heritage, because this country, believe it or not, was shaped on Judeo-Christian values. And that's exactly what it is. And without understanding the moral and philosophical framework they were built on, as William J. Bennett reminds us in the Book of Virtues, a nation that does not educate in virtue is a nation preparing for its own collapse. And that's what we've seen. We've seen the collapse. We are collapsing even before our eyes. I mean, look at Washington. Look at Washington. This will lead me to my next story here. These standards reflect the virtues and values of Oklahoma families, honor our heritage, and give students full picture, good, bad, and inspiring. They tell the truth without distortion and represent the convictions of a state that knows exactly where it stands. These standards mark a turning point, not just for Oklahoma, but for the entire nation. As President Reagan once warned, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We do not pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Our commitment is clear: academic excellence, historical accuracy, and the deep respect for the country we call home and the greatest and freest nation in the world. Thank you for standing with us as we work to restore truth, courage, and principle to Oklahoma classroom. And signed, Ryan Walters. And so I love this. I think this is great. I think this is really good. I think this is one of the benefits that we'll get to see with the Department of Education being essentially dismantled and going back to the state. I think this is a great first step. I wish this got more attention. That's why I'm platforming it and talking about it here, because people in Washington, we're not going to know. What we are going to know about here in Washington, though, very, very well, is the Title IX investigation that was launched by the Title IX Task Force, I believe it is. Title IX Special Investigations Team launches directed investigation into Washington State's Superintendent Office. So Chris Reckdell, your days are numbered. An investigation is coming to Washington State. It's coming to Chris Reckdell's office directly. It's not going to the Washington Department of Education. It's going directly to the state superintendent's office, the OPSI office, to Chris Reckdell himself, the supercalifragilistic expialidocious Trump hater. That's exactly where this is going. It's going straight to Chris Reckdell. So this information comes amid reports that OPSI has imposed requirements on school districts that potentially violate federal law, specifically Title IX, Family Educational Rights, and Privacy Act, FERPA, and the Protection of People Rights Amendment, PPRA. Multiple Washington State school districts have reported that OPSI is requiring school boards to adopt policies that allow males to participate in female sports, true, and occupy female-only intimate facilities, also true, thereby raising substantial Title IX concerns. Again, I think this is a great example, and we're about to be made the example. When you don't follow federal law, what happens? Federal law will 100% always supersede state law. No matter how, quote unquote, high your standards are, no matter where you think you fall in the food chain, the federal law overrides state law 100% of the time. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, just where it is. And that's exactly where we're at. And the other thing here, the last thing I want to end with, is just this tweet from Governor Ferguson on the 3rd. This is the first thing here. As a parent, I know it's never too early to spark the love of reading. The simplest way to help all children become strong readers is put books in their hands. Thank you to Page Ahead for inviting me to speak about childhood literacy as the taste for reading luncheon today. We must support local organizations like Page Ahead and our local libraries who work hard to make books accessible for everybody. Yet, 2/3 in kids in Washington public schools in his state aren't reading at grade level. Heck, 7th, 8th graders reading at like a 3rd, 4th grade level. And then, he's talking about parents, and yet he's about to strip away parental bill of rights through 1296. That was by the people, created by us, for us, yet they dismantled it. More ironic, because they actually passed in their budget to defund the Dolly Parton libraries, which I think Dolly Parton, she'll be fine, but they'll keep going. They're stripping away this. So it's say one thing, show up, show face, show this side of you that you know could be genuine, but behind closed doors, you're signing these bills. You're allowing for literacy to be defunded. You're allowing for schools to be in a worse spot. Heck, it got to a point that we have a Title IX investigation. Come on now. Come on now. You can't say that, oh, I love literacy, we should push for it, and then those things happen in your budget. So, Governor Ferguson, I hope you veto. I really hope you veto these bills, because as PNW conservative put, I think he put it great to this same post. As a parent, you should be for the parental bill of rights. As a parent, you should be for holding our schools accountable for the predators, not protecting them. As a parent, you should allow boys and girls private spaces. You have advocated being a parent, and it's so true. So true. Because if you really cared about being a parent, if you related, if you cared, we wouldn't see half the things we do. We wouldn't see more taxes on families. We wouldn't see the hardworking average Washingtonian being taxed out of their home, being taxed out of the state, being taxed into a lower tax bracket. We wouldn't be seeing taxation going towards unaffordability. We wouldn't see those things if Bob Ferguson actually cared about parents and showed face and meant what he said here in his tweet. The irony kills me, and it should kill you as well. Well, that's all the time I have today for the Evergreen Report. And so I hope today you continue to learn and continue to be a change agent. Take the things you learn, talk to someone about them. One person, go quote, retweet something, share it, share it, share it. Be unapologetic. Go and share it. You have to share your opinion with it, just share it. See what happens next, and then share your opinion. But again, just share what you learned. Be a change agent. Be someone that's fighting for change. Because at this point, that's all we got left. How much was it going to take left? This is a question that Larry Kalchik actually posted over on X on the 29th. Does anyone else in Washington feel this way? What will it take to break us and move? And this is my very last closing thought here, I promise. Let's see how Culp Inslee election goes. Inslee wins, we stayed. I'll wait for the Trump-Biden election. We said Biden won, we stayed. Let's see how the initiatives go, then we'll decide to move. Initiative passes, a glimmer of hope. Let's see what the 2024 elections go. Trump wins, Washington loses, initiatives lose, and are overturned. Let's wait and see how the 2025 session pans out. Disaster. Why are we so tolerant? Why do we put up with insanity in the state? Is it even fixable? Anyways, this is just how he's been feeling politically. If he wasn't a Christian, didn't have a family, probably react differently. Spiritually, I'm at peace. Hope is in God, not man. Amen to that, brother. I'm calling for all of us to unite, pray for the state, its leaders, protections over our families. The heart of the king is in God's hand. God help us. And amen to you, brother. Amen to you, Larry. We should pray, and we should act. Works without faith is dead. You find that in Galatians chapter 4, 3 or 4, I believe. But we have to shift, how we think here. We have to put some action behind our words. We can send out tweets all day, but we can pray all day, but we also have to put some words behind it. We have to stay and fight, and I invite you to fight. Your only choice left. Get involved. Go run for city council. Needs good people, good average people like you and I. Go and fight. Go and participate. Go be active in your local government. You will make more change in your local government getting policies, initiatives, and bills passed here locally than you ever will with anything going on at the federal level. So take all that energy you're putting into the federal fight, put it in here local. Take 90% of it, leave 10% there, take 90% of it, put it back here at home, because you'll make more of a difference here in your community. So with that, this has been Jay. This has been the Evergreen Report. Make sure to go and follow me over on X and Instagram at Evergreen Report, Evergreen EVERGRE. You can find that on X and Instagram and Facebook as well. You can also find us on TikTok as well, YouTube as well. Evergreen Report with Jey Young. That's myself, and it's been great speaking with you today. It's been great talking to you. I can't wait to talk to you again here soon and talk about more of the craziness going on here in Washington State. So buckle up. It's going to be a wild and crazy ride. Get on your knees, pray, and let's take some action together.